Hey everyone, welcome to another deep dive. And today we're going to be looking into the world of Stefan James and Project Life Mastery.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure. I think I've been diving into a lot of his content recently, and I think this is a really great opportunity to kind of share some of my thoughts and hear your perspective on him as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, he's someone who I've followed for quite a while now, and his journey is really quite fascinating, I think.
Definitely. Yeah, and I think what I found interesting is like the sheer amount of content he puts out there. It's kind of overwhelming.
It's a lot. There's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, so we're gonna try to like distill it down into like what are the core elements of his message and what's made him so successful in this space.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, he's built a massive following. He's created this really thriving business, and he's really become a go-to resource for people who are looking for self-improvement.
And I think what makes him stand out is his commitment to honesty and transparency. It's not just about the highlight reel. It's about the whole journey, including the setbacks.
Exactly. Yeah, he doesn't shy away from the messy parts. And I think that makes him a lot more relatable than the typical self-help guru.
Yeah, and that's definitely something that I was drawn to, is this, this idea of like he's not just selling a dream, he's showing you the work it takes to get there. And that I think is really valuable.
Totally. Yeah, and I think that's something that really resonates with people. Because it's like you said, it's not just this like, oh, look at me, I'm so successful. It's like, here's what I've been through. Here's what I've struggled with.
The good and the bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that makes people feel like, oh, okay, I can actually learn from this person.
Right. And maybe I can do this too.
Totally.
Yeah. So let's maybe rewind a bit and like talk about Stefan James. Like, who is he and what were those early years like before he became this kind of global influencer?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's a Canadian entrepreneur in life and business coach, and also a bit of a world traveler as well.
He gets around.
Yeah, he does. But, his story really started at 17. And I think that's what's so interesting is, most teenagers are kind of focused on just being teenagers. But he really decided to take control of his life through self-development. And that wasn't just a phase. It was a complete transformation for him.
And that's interesting. Like at that age, like what was it that kind of like put him on that path?
Well, I mean, from what I've gathered, he was facing a lot of insecurity, he lacked direction, and he kind of stumbled upon personal development almost by accident.
Really?
Yeah. But it quickly resonated with him. And so he started setting goals, working on his mindset, and, really applying what he was learning. And that's really kind of what set the stage for everything that came after.
Wow. So he was like a self-help junkie from a young age.
Pretty much. Yeah. And I think that early commitment to personal growth is really kind of what fueled his success later on.
So he was like a walking example of his own teachings.
Exactly. And I think that's why people find him so credible, because it's like he's not just talking about this stuff, he's lived it.
Yeah, that's really powerful. And so that kind of like led him to create Project Life Mastery, right?
Right. Yeah. So, he recognized that a lot of people were struggling with the same issues that he had. And so in 2012, he launched Project Life Mastery as a platform to share his strategies and insights. And initially it was a blog.
I think I remember seeing like some of his early blog posts, actually.
Yeah. And it's grown into something much bigger now. It's videos, it's courses, it's coaching programs, and even a really vibrant community as well.
Yeah, it's a whole ecosystem.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes it so successful, is that it's not just one thing. It's this comprehensive approach to personal development and helping people achieve their goals.
Yeah, you mentioned courses. What areas do those like actually cover?
It's pretty diverse. He offers courses on everything from health and fitness to online business and investing.
Wow. It's like a one-stop shop for self-improvement.
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, there's a really strong emphasis on personal development, but it really is this holistic approach aimed at helping people create a life they love in all aspects.
Yeah. And that holistic approach keeps coming up. Like, what does that mean in the context of his teachings?
Well, it means that he doesn't see these areas of life as separate silos. He believes they're all interconnected.
Ah, okay.
So, for example, like improving your health can boost your energy levels, which can make you more productive in your business, or mastering your finances can reduce stress, which can improve your relationships.
So it's all about finding that balance across different areas.
Exactly. And synergy. And I think that's what makes his approach so unique, is that it's not just about achieving success in one area. It's about creating a life that feels harmonious overall.
It's like that whole like work-life balance thing, but like taken to the next level.
Exactly. And I think that's a message that really resonates with a lot of people because, we're all so busy and we're all trying to juggle so many different things. And so this idea of like finding balance and harmony, I think it's really appealing.
Yeah, it's like instead of just like ticking boxes and achieving success in one area, it's about like creating a life that feels good overall.
Totally. And I think that ties back to his core message, which is to be a living example of what's possible with commitment and self-belief.
Yeah, he's like the walking embodiment of that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what makes him so inspiring is that he's showing people that you can achieve anything you set your mind to. And that success doesn't have to come at the expense of your well-being.
It's not about pushing yourself to the breaking point. It's about finding sustainable ways to grow and improve.
Yeah, exactly. And he emphasizes that success is a journey, not a destination.
And that journey he shares openly.
Yes, he does.
Yeah. Which brings us to, I guess, his unique approach to transparency. This seems to be a defining characteristic of both him and Project Life Mastery.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it goes beyond just sharing goals. He talks about his struggles, his failures, his doubts, his fears. He doesn't try to portray himself as perfect or superhuman.
And that's pretty rare, I would say.
Yeah, it is, especially in the self-improvement world. I think, there's a lot of pressure to present this perfect image.
Yeah, it's like everybody's like got it all figured out.
Exactly. But he's not afraid to be vulnerable. And I think that's what makes him so relatable.
Yeah.
People see him as a real person who's gone through challenges just like them, and it makes his successes feel more attainable.
Yeah, it's like he's saying, look, I'm not perfect, but I'm working on it, and you can too.
Exactly. And I think that's a really powerful message because it gives people hope. It's like, okay, maybe I can't achieve everything overnight, but if I just keep working at it, I can make progress.
So it's about like progress over perfection.
Totally. Yeah. And I think that's a much healthier mindset to have because perfection is unattainable, and it can be really discouraging to constantly strive for something that you can never actually reach.
Yeah, and this transparency is especially evident in his quarterly goal reports.
Yes.
Okay, so what are these, and like what kind of insights do they offer?
Well, they're essentially detailed reports where he outlines his goals for the quarter, his progress towards those goals, and his reflections on the process. And he breaks down his goals into different categories, like health, relationships, business, finances, personal development.
Oh, wow. So it's not just like a list of achievements.
No, it's a much deeper look at how he's approaching each area of his life.
So he's really like sharing his inner workings.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what makes him so valuable is that you can see how he applies his principles in real life and learn from his experiences.
Yeah, I imagine it also creates like a sense of community and shared progress.
Totally. Yeah. Because, people can see that they're not alone in their struggles and that other people are working towards similar goals. And I think that can be really motivating.
So it's not just about him showcasing his successes, but it's about creating a ripple effect and empowering others to take control of their lives as well.
Exactly. And I think that ties back to his mission of being a positive example and helping others achieve their full potential.
Yeah, it's pretty admirable.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he could easily just keep all of this to himself.
Yeah.
But he chooses to share it with the world.
Yeah.
And I think that's a testament to his character.
That level of openness is definitely refreshing. So yeah, he's come a long way from starting at 17 with this passion for self-development to building this massive online platform centered on honesty and transparency. It's an incredible journey.
Yeah, it is. And it's still ongoing. I think he's constantly evolving, learning, refining his approach. But what's fascinating to me is how he's managed to translate his passion for self-improvement into tangible success, both personally and professionally.
And that's what we'll dive into next, right? Like understanding the key factors behind his success and how he's managed to build such a devoted following.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll explore his strategies, his philosophy, and what makes him so effective at connecting with people who are looking to transform their lives.
I'm excited for that.
Me too.
Let's do it. So we talked about Stefan Jones's journey and his kind of radical transparency, but what I'm really curious about is what makes him so successful. He's built this massive following and this thriving business, and he's become kind of like the go-to for people who are looking for self-improvement. So what's the secret sauce?
I think it's a few things, actually, but one of the big ones is just his authenticity.
Yeah.
He's not afraid to show his flaws. He's not afraid to be vulnerable. And I think that's just really refreshing, especially in an industry that can sometimes feel a little fake.
Yeah, it's like he's breaking down that wall between the guru and the audience and saying, hey, we're all in this together.
Exactly. And because he's so open about his own struggles,
yeah,
people feel like they can trust him. They know he's not just trying to sell them something, he's actually speaking from experience.
Yeah, and his content reflects that too. He's not promising overnight transformations or get-rich-quick schemes. He's really emphasizing hard work and consistency and a long-term commitment to growth.
Absolutely. He's very upfront about the fact that real change takes time and effort. It's not a quick fix, it's a journey. And he's offering a roadmap for that journey.
So it's more about empowering people to take ownership of their lives rather than relying on some magic formula.
Exactly. And that's where his emphasis on action comes in. He's a big believer in taking what you learn and putting it into practice.
Yeah, it's not enough to just read a book or watch a video. You got to actually do something with it.
Exactly. And he provides very clear action plans and strategies that people can implement in their own lives. So it's not just vague inspiration, it's very practical guidance.
And that seems to be another thing that contributes to his success, is just the sheer breadth of topics he covers. Like, Project Life Mastery isn't just about one aspect of life. It's about creating a well-rounded, fulfilling existence.
Right. He takes a very holistic approach. He addresses things like health, relationships, finances, personal development, even spirituality, and he shows how all these areas are interconnected.
So it's not just about go make $1 million. It's about create a life that feels balanced and meaningful.
Exactly. And I think that resonates with a lot of people who are tired of the compartmentalized, one-size-fits-all solutions that you often see in the self-help world.
It's like recognizing that we're complex beings with these multifaceted needs and aspirations.
Right. And that those needs and aspirations can evolve over time. I think that brings us to another important aspect of his approach, which is continuous learning.
This is something he talks about a lot, isn't it?
He does, yeah. He sees personal growth as a lifelong pursuit. It's never ending, it's always evolving, and he's constantly seeking new knowledge, experimenting with different approaches, and he encourages his audience to do the same.
That's cool. I like that. So it's not about reaching some endpoint and saying, okay, I'm done. It's about embracing that process of growth.
Exactly, and that's reflected in the way he structures Project Life Mastery, too.
Yeah.
He's constantly updating his content, adding new courses, refining his strategies based on the latest research. So it's a very dynamic platform.
Yeah, it's like a living, breathing thing.
It is. And I think that's what keeps people engaged. They know that they're not just getting a static set of information. They're getting access to something that's constantly evolving.
It's like he's learning and growing alongside his community.
Exactly. Yeah, he's not just a teacher, he's a fellow student.
So now we've talked about a lot of positive things about his approach, but I'm curious, are there any potential drawbacks or criticisms that have been raised?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it's always important to consider different perspectives. I think one criticism is that his content can be a bit overwhelming, especially for people who are new to self-improvement.
Yeah. There's a lot of it.
There is. And it can be hard to know where to start. And while his step-by-step approach is helpful, it can also feel a bit formulaic at times. Yeah. So it might not be the right fit for everyone.
Yeah, some people might prefer a more intuitive approach.
Right. And another potential criticism is that his emphasis on goal setting and achievement can sometimes overshadow the importance of self-acceptance and being present in the moment.
So it's like you're so focused on the future that you forget to enjoy the now.
Right. And there's a risk of getting so caught up in achieving goals that you lose sight of the simple joys of life.
Yeah, that's a good point. But to be fair to him, he does talk about mindfulness and self-care. He just tends to emphasize action a bit more.
Right. It's all about balance. And ultimately it's up to each individual to decide what works best for them.
So while his approach might not be universally applicable, there's no denying that it's been incredibly effective for a lot of people.
Absolutely. And his impact goes beyond just personal development. He's also a successful entrepreneur, author, speaker. His influences reach millions of people worldwide.
Yeah, he's kind of become a global phenomenon.
He has, and it's really interesting to see how he's managed to achieve that level of success.
So going back to that question of why he's been so successful, we've talked about his authenticity, his action-oriented approach, his holistic view, and his emphasis on continuous learning. But what else is at play here?
Well, I think his ability to inspire and motivate is a big factor. He doesn't just provide information. He really instills belief in people that they can achieve their dreams.
Yeah, he's like a cheerleader for self-improvement.
He is. And he does it with this genuine enthusiasm that's contagious. People are drawn to his positive energy and his optimistic outlook.
It's not just about achieving success. It's about enjoying the journey and finding fulfillment along the way.
Exactly. And he emphasizes the importance of finding your passion, pursuing your purpose, creating a life that feels aligned with your values.
So it's about more than just external achievements. It's about cultivating that inner peace and happiness.
And it's a message that resonates with people on a deep level. In a world that often feels chaotic and uncertain, he offers a sense of hope and empowerment.
He's like a beacon of positivity.
He is. And he reminds people that they have the power to create the life they want, and he gives them the tools to do it.
So it's not just about self-improvement, it's about self-discovery and self-actualization.
That's a great way to put it. And I think that's what makes Stefan James so compelling. He's not just offering a set of techniques, he's offering a philosophy of life, a way of being in the world that's both inspiring and empowering.
Yeah, it's about tapping into our full potential and creating a life that feels authentic and meaningful and fulfilling.
And he's created a platform that supports people on that journey. Provides them with the resources, the community, the inspiration they need to thrive.
So it's really like a whole ecosystem built around personal growth and online business.
It is, and it's pretty remarkable what he's accomplished.
Yeah, so for our listeners who are maybe just discovering Stefan James for the first time, what would you say is like the one key takeaway they should walk away with?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I would say the most important takeaway is that you have the power to create the life you want. It's not about luck. It's not about circumstance. It's about taking ownership, setting clear goals, and taking action.
Yeah, it's about believing in yourself and your ability to achieve great things.
And it's about embracing the journey with all its ups and downs. It's not always going to be easy, but it's worth it.
So Stefan James is like a living example of what's possible when you combine hard work and dedication with a genuine desire to help others.
He's shown that you can achieve both personal and professional success while staying true to your values and making a positive impact on the world.
And that's an inspiring message for all of us.
It is, and it's a reminder that we all have the potential to make a difference.
Yeah, it really is amazing how he's managed to turn this personal passion for self-improvement into like a global movement.
I know, it's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
And, I think it speaks to the power of authenticity and like a genuine desire to help others. People can sense when someone is truly invested in their well-being. And I think that's a big part of what draws people to Stefan.
Yeah, definitely.
He doesn't just talk the talk, he walks the walk. He's always experimenting, he's refining his strategies and sharing everything along the way.
Yeah, and I think that makes him so relatable, because he's not afraid to show that he's human.
Right, exactly. He's vulnerable, and that makes his achievements feel much more attainable for the average person.
He is like a mentor who's also a friend. He's guiding you through this process, but he's also acknowledging that it's not always easy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he really emphasizes that success isn't a linear path.
Right.
There are going to be setbacks, there are going to be obstacles, there are going to be moments of doubt, but it's about persevering, and it's about learning from your mistakes.
It's about the journey, not the destination, as they say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And finding joy and fulfillment along the way. Personal growth should be an enriching experience. It shouldn't feel like a chore.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess for someone listening who's like feeling inspired and wants to start their own Project Life Mastery journey, like where would you recommend they begin?
That's a good question. I would say start with his core principles.
Yeah.
Goal setting, transparency, and continuous learning.
Okay, let's break this down a little bit.
Yeah.
So what's his take on goal setting? Because we know he's big on it, but does he do it differently than, other self-help gurus?
Well, I think what sets him apart is that he's not just talking about setting these vague aspirations.
Right.
He's really emphasizing clear, specific, measurable goals.
Ah, okay.
And breaking those goals down into smaller, actionable steps.
So it's like creating a roadmap.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he's a big believer in writing down your goals and reviewing them frequently. He even suggests creating a vision board, to visualize your desired outcomes.
I like that idea.
Yeah, it's a good one. And then there's transparency.
Right. We talked about that a lot.
We did. Yeah. But how can you apply that principle to your own life? Well, it's about being honest with yourself, about your strengths and weaknesses, your successes and your failures, and acknowledging your struggles.
Yeah.
And seeking support when you need it.
So it's like letting go of that need to be perfect, and I'm embracing the messiness of personal growth.
Exactly. And it's also about sharing your journey with others, whether it's a friend or a mentor or a community.
Yeah, because sometimes just like voicing it out loud can make it feel more real.
Exactly. And it helps you stay accountable too.
Okay. And then the last one, continuous learning. What does that look like in practice?
Well, it's about adopting a growth mindset, being curious, seeking new knowledge, new experiences.
So reading books, taking courses, having conversations with interesting people.
Yeah, exactly. And it's about recognizing that learning is a lifelong journey. It never ends.
It's a process.
It is.
Okay, so it sounds like Stefan's approach is kind of this blend of like structured, goal-oriented thinking, but also this willingness to be open and vulnerable and constantly evolving.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Cool.
It's about taking action, but also embracing the journey and recognizing that personal growth is a process that's going to have lots of twists and turns.
And it's about creating a life that, feels aligned with your values and your passions and your purpose.
Yeah. So, as we wrap up this deep dive, here's a final thought I want to leave you with.
Ooh, I like this part.
How can you apply these principles of goal setting, transparency, and continuous learning to your own life? What's one small step you can take today to move closer to your goals and create a life that feels more authentic and fulfilling?
I love that.
Yeah, you have the power to create the life you want. It all starts with a single step and a belief in yourself.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Stefan James and Project Life Mastery.
It was my pleasure.
I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new, and I hope it inspires you to, take control of your life and create something amazing.
And don't forget to check out some of his content for yourself.
Yeah, there's tons of it out there.
There is.
But start small and see what resonates with you.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for listening, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.
Bye, everyone.